Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha. Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarvamangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namosute Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samsita Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 8th of May 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Paramatma, Bhagwan residing in the heart of every single being. We have been continuing to examine concepts in Advaita Vedanta, and particularly Vivek Chudamani, the Bhagavad Gita, 2 verses from chapter 2, etc. Today, I just want to spend a few minutes here talking a bit about the Chidabhasa that we started talking about yesterday. So there's a small table there, you can see that. That really tries to explain this point, that the Atman, who we actually are, our actual tattva, that is self-luminous, unchanging reality. That is Brahman or Atman. It is pure light. Now, this word light is okay, as I mentioned before. The word is prakash, divya prakash. The word pure, see, this translation is okay. But purity is sattvic. This is even beyond that. So the Atma Tattva is beyond the Sattva Gun and its range. And so it is called Divya Prakash. So we can say Shuddha. Shuddha means pure. Shuddha Man. So the better translation here, rather than saying pure light, would be divine light. So I'll change that here actually. I mean, that's the close word, divine. But again, the word is divyam. Divyam. And it is beyond the layers of, all of the layers of the body and the mind. The Atma Tattva. That is the light of millions of suns. The sunlight, moonlight, everything is incorporated within that. And it is divine. It is nirakar. It doesn't have any form. Right? So the who we are is this extraordinary divine light. Now let's just keep that in mind. Now the antakarana, which is the man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, is like a mirror. It's a reflective surface for the consciousness. So that is an evolute out of Maya that has been created for the Jivatma, for the consciousness itself. Now let's talk about that for a moment. How has that happened, and why has that happened? Advaita Vedanta and Shankaracharya Ji and the lineage of Shankaracharya Ji from before Shankaracharya Ji and after Shankaracharya Ji, they will say that the same one consciousness, infinite Sat Chit Ananda, has some power, has a special power called Maya. It is its power. It's interesting. And in that same power, that same consciousness, how can we say this? It activates that power and generates all of the universes and the bodies, all these bodies. And that same Sat Chit Ananda is reflecting itself inside the creation. Does that make any sense? Try to understand. See how difficult this is to understand even. It's difficult because we are not completely enlightened. If we realize who we are, this will make absolute sense. It's not even a question of making sense, it's beyond that. But this is how the Advaita Vedanta works. We need to have some understanding of this. Because Advaita means only one, that there's only one tattva. Well, that one tattva has also Maya, meaning it has a power. Well, why is there Maya? No answer to that question. No one has ever answered that question. No one ever will be able to answer that question. The reason is that whatever may be considered to be Maya is indescribable. We cannot answer why it came, where it came from. It is Anadi, beginningless. Shankaracharya ji says this in Vivek Chudamani. All the other acharyas say it. Shriji Maharaj says it in Vachanamrut. Why is it Anadi? Anadi meaning beginningless, and it just is. It's like saying, why does Brahman exist? Well, it just exists. There's no question of why it exists. It just exists. So the Antakarana is an instrument evolved out of Maya, out of Mahamaya, and then it's a long process, but eventually we get this Antakarana, and that same consciousness reflects inside there. Now that's very interesting. What in the world is going on with that reflection? Well, that reflection is what in Vedanta is called Chidabhasa. I started talking about this yesterday. Right? So the Antakaran is the mirror, and the Chidabhas is the reflection, apparent consciousness, and that is Jivatma. Right? That is Jivatma. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Now, the viewer of the mirror, the one who is witnessing the mirror, like for example, if I'm standing in front of a mirror, I'm the one seeing my own reflection. So that is the Sakshin. Sakshin is one who is seeing the reflection that is inside the Antakarana, that is Chidabhas. So the apparent consciousness, that is Jivatma, it's just an appearance. It's just apparent. It is Chidabhasa. Abhas. It's very interesting. Now, the Sakshin is the witnessing self not involved in the play of Maya. So the play of Maya that is going on around us all the time, which is the Jagrat Swapna Shushupti Avastha, the Sakshin is Sakshin. Sakshin meaning witnessing consciousness. Witness, the witnessing self with a capital S. That is the Atma Tattva. So the viewer of the mirror, the Sakshin, and this divine Atman are the same. And that is our actual Swarup. That's what is Advaita teaching us, to realize this. Now the gunas of Maya and the vasanas and all, these are dust. That is a dust and the distortion that is affecting the clarity. That is affecting the clarity of our vision. Okay, now take a look at this sentence here. So just one moment here. So the mirror theory of mind offers a powerful framework. So hold on one moment. Yeah, the mirror theory of mind offers a powerful framework for self-inquiry and de-identification. See this sentence very carefully. So this mirror theory that is described in Advaita Vedanta, it is actually an invitation for all of us to do self-inquiry. This is what Ramana Maharishi taught. Ramana Maharishi's main path is a path of self-inquiry. And de-identification is the main path of J. Krishnamurti. Right? So these two great beings who came, they taught both of these ideas. So this is an idea. I mean, this notion that there is Chidabhas, how do you know that? How do you know that there is Chidabhas and Sakshin and Gunas? How do we know that any of that is actually there? We know it from our own Anubhav. ये हमारा जीवन का अनुभव है. Right? So we know inside of us the play of Maya. Where is the play of Maya? Inside of us. That's all it is. That's the only place we can actually directly perceive the play of Maya. The outside, what we consider the outside world, the Jagrat Avastha, yes, that seems to be a commonality for all of us. It is, in some sense. But that Avastha is also an Anubhav. Right now, Sachin is speaking to all of you. You are listening to what Sachin is saying. We're seeing each other on Zoom. This is happening in Jagrat Avastha right now. So in the Jagrat Avastha, the names and forms appear, we can have conversations, we can interact in this way. But the awareness, the Sakshin, the one that is experiencing the Avastha, that is the Atma Tattva. Now, to realize the Atma Tattva, the mind has to be cleaned up from the influence of the Rajogun, Tamogun particularly. Get it into a sattvic modality. That's not easy to do, but that is necessary. And then from that, all the vasanas and everything else need to be cleaned out. Now, where do these vasanas come from? It comes from the experiences that Maya provides. The experiences, different kinds of anubhav through the senses and brain, mind, etc. That is the power of Maya that is active. She provides those experiences. The Mahamaya, for each Jivatma. Now Shankaracharya ji would say there is no such thing as each Jivatma. But from our Jiv level there is. I feel I'm different from another person. So this is Advait Vedanta, that there is no multiplicity of Jivatma. Ramanujacharya and Jainism and others and other traditions would say no, there's infinite number of Jivatma. Anyway, that's just a perspective. It's not any contradiction really. Very interesting. Right? So, where should be our focus in all of this? The focus needs to be on the play of the three gunas of Maya and the vasanas inside. So, what have the great teachers taught us? Change the vasanas into sadvasana. Sat vasana means sadvasana. Change the vasanas. The vasana meaning desire, wanting, desire, tendency to realize the Atma Tattva, Brahma Tattva, to do more meditation, to place one's manovritti towards Paramatma. That's a big thing. Even the decision to do so is a big thing. I mentioned this before. When the decision happens through the buddhi decides, I'm going to set my life destination to realize Narayana, to realize the Supreme Paramatma. Wow, that's a big thing. People have big goals in life, right? I want to be as someone told me last year, some lady I met, she said she wants to be a billionaire. I said, okay, karo, aapke liye puja karenge, no problem, If you have that desire, you have to put, I think she probably already is a millionaire, but still she says, no, in this world you have to be a billionaire. Millionaire is that's not going to do it. I said, okay, koi baat nahi, prarthna karo. बीज मंत्र करो, ओम ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुंडाय विचे मंत्र आपके लिए हवन करेंगे. आपकी इच्छा, but you have that desire, you keep working in that desire. And she was a very interesting thing, she's got 2 kids and all that. And I'm sure they're quite wealthy, but I went to their home one time and all that. But I want to be a billionaire hona hi chahiye. Baki kuch nahi, no, there's no more point, everything is just like ordinary. Okay, theek hai. That's okay. All of this thing goes on in life. And if you have these desires, Bhagavan will fulfill the desire if that kind of effort and sadhana is done in that direction. Any desire. Desires are vasanas. But to get to that point where you want only God, kitni difficult baat hai. Why is it so hard? Because the Jivatma is stuck inside the realm of the Vasanas and Mayas. And that Chidabhas means what? That same Chaitanyam is identified inside the Antakaran and the senses. So for example, if I eat an piece of apple, and I say, oh, this is so nice. That experience of enjoyment is called Chidabhas. Meaning what? That same consciousness through Maya is experiencing, I like this, this apple pie. I like it. That is because of the Chaitanya that is in the Antakarana, with the Antakarana identified with it, and it is within the experience of the 3 gunas of Maya. And that's going to continue. The experiences of life are going to continue until someone goes into samadhi. They leave the body completely. Body is given to experience. That's why the body is there. But Vedanta is saying, yes, body is there, mind is there, everything is there. We have a choice. We can either just stay within the realm of the three gunas of Maya, this life, next life, additional lives, many lives. The lives keep on going, keep coming and going, or we can choose through Guru Krupa, through Mahavakyas, to awaken out of this great engulfment in Maya. We can choose. Each person can make a choice each day. When we wake up in the morning, make a choice. What is the destination? What is the actual destination? And then with that, place consistent, unbroken effort. That is Purusharth, Purush Prayatna. That is necessary. And then but that effort should not be with any ahankar, and that effort has energy behind it. That is also the same energy. So then once that clarity comes, the entire Mahamaya works in a different way as a support so that the Jivatma can realize the Brahman. You understand? So this discussion is there in Vachanamrut also. So Mahamaya will be in support of that realization. Otherwise, the Mahamaya continues to bind the Jivatma. And so this difference is there. This distinction is there. And if you look at Shankaracharyaji's teachings particularly, he and all the other acharyas that came, what are they trying to do? They are trying to awaken the individual from the Jiva state into the Brahma state, into the Sakshan that I am the Brahman. And that transition is what is called liberation. It is called mukti. So these are the basic ideas. This should be very clear. We'll stop with this point here. And just remember one thing, that the time for the body is always limited. There's a lot of cosmic activity going on. Body ka samay bahut kam hai. And it is shrinking. Every single second it is shrinking. In that time, it's a big if and when a bhakta sets the destination कि अभी भगवान को ही पामना है, बस कुछ नहीं और कुछ नहीं. Wow. That's amazing. To do that is amazing. To do that is extraordinary. And then from that, to start that path. That path is only one, whichever way you go, there's only one thing in that path. हमारी जो वृत्ति है वो भगवान के स्वरूप में लगनी चाहिए. It should be connected to the higher contemplation. Then the three gunas of Maya can be seen. It's like the airplane that takes off and the pilot says, I'm going to be setting a destination, I want to be cruising at 45,000 feet. I want to get to that point. Okay. But the plane is on the ground. Plane takes off. And then consistent effort is there. But the engines are going on. And then you reach that cruising altitude. That is where we want to be, at that cruising altitude. Above the clouds. So where rag, dvesh, aham, mamatva, klesh, all the problems of the jagrat avastha, the sansar, all that stuff, we go beyond all of it, even though it is there. Even if you're cruising at 45,000 feet, there could be all kinds of chaos going on down there. It doesn't affect you. You are aware of it perhaps, but you see a much broader picture. That is our goal. That is called Brahma Drishti. To reach that evolved state from inside. Then we go from Manav to Mahamanav. Isko Mahajan kehte hai. Mahamanav kehte hai. Isko Mahapurush kehte hai. This is how this goes, right? So we'll stop here for now. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedev Sarvakarishu Sarvadam Ganganapate Namaha Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche Om Divilingaya Namaha Urdhvalingaya Namaha Atmalingaya Namaha Paramatmalingaya Namo Namaha Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshya Mamritat Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche Om Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu Om Hrim Swaha.